So around the time of the Manson murders. The character that I play is a World War II veteran, Marine. So he's come back from, he's a member of the Greatest Generation or whatever. He's come back from saving his country, and he comes back to see his country turning into something else. It's been fun for me to kind of get into the skin of this guy. He's very different from anything I've done before, so it was really nerve-wracking at first. Didn't know if I bought myself doing this, and then, kind of started to get more comfortable. I just thought it was a very different idea from anything that I'd heard, and into the 70s, taking a real 40s and 50s guy and taking him into the revolutionary changes that happened in the 60s and 70s. And I thought, well, that's a really interesting kind of an acting journey to take if we get to do multiple years like we want to do. Well, Hodiak's skeptical of flower power or whatever. He doesn't get it. I don't think he's really been exposed to that much of it. He's certainly not sympathetic to the anti-war movement or this idea of peace at any cost or make love, not war. He's not that guy. So he's a guy that's going to be dragged kicking and screaming into a world that he doesn't know, he didn't create, he doesn't get. Really what happens is an old girlfriend of his that he still carries a torch for calls him and says her daughter's missing, and that kind of gets him into the world of Manson because it turns out she's gone off with Manson. So up until that point, that's not the kind of case that he would have investigated. He's a homicide detective, so he agrees to investigate that kind of under the radar. And I think that's what starts the problems for him. But he just views Manson basically as a pimp, as a two-bit criminal, a guy who's got a long rap sheet and has basically spent more than half his life in prison for crappy, crimes, reaching all the way to assault and pimping and drugs and all this. So he thinks he's a lowlife. And what I find interesting is there's no way he would ever think, oh, this is going to become, one of the most famous murderers in our history. I've talked to Gethin about it, the actor who plays Manson, and he made a very interesting point, which was the Manson that we know on YouTube or whatever is kind of an act. That's the Manson who's incarcerated and knows he's the boogeyman and all that. But the Manson before that would have had to have been fairly seductive to get away with the things that he did, not obviously a crazy guy. Well, Shafe, who's Hodiak's partner, played by Greg Damon, he's the younger cop. I've gotten to the point in my career where I need a younger, good-looking guy with me. I need to get into a younger world. I can't get into Manson's world as old as I am. There's no place for me. I'd be suspected immediately. But Gray, who's an undercover guy, he's already gone undercover as a hippie. That's what he's doing. I decide, I would like to use that guy to find Emma, the girl, the daughter of my old flame who's missing. So that's how I come to him. And he's more of the younger generation. He's a guy that doesn't necessarily rough people up. There's a kind of innocence to Shafe. There's an idealism. There's a youthful idealism. So there's kind of a spot in Hodiak that is drawn to Shafe in that way. I think people are interested in kind of the real 60s, not the Austin Powers 60s. So Manson is this petty criminal at this point who's spent most of his life in jail, and he comes out, and he is also a man of the 50s and 40s. He just grows his hair long, kind of impersonates a hippie, and insinuates himself into the summer of love. And he's, kind of symbolically, Manson is when the summer of love turned into something else. They always say,